Welcome to all your astrology friends out there. I hope the light isn't too bright because I have trouble with opening up my eyes because there is a window here and the light is so strong. But anyway, it's an association that I'm making here with this full moon for sure. Welcome to this reading. This is all about the full moon in Libra, and it's going to happen around and about the 6th of April. So pretty soon. I'm recording this on the 3rd of April. And so what can we expect and what is this all about? I mean, in general, for all the signs, and then I'm going to break it down for each and every sign. 5 things to know here. First of all, the first thing to know here is very simple. It's a full moon, right? It is the sun opposing the moon. The sun will be in Aries at around and about 16 degrees, and it will oppose the moon in Libra. 16 degrees of Libra, where the moon is positioned, and therefore it's a full moon in Libra. Now I say the association of brightness because full moons tend to have that energy of things coming into consciousness. That's what a full moon is all about. It's all about showing what is happening, and it's all about a culmination of events. And that's where we say that full moons are always kind of emotional, because things are coming to fruition and it's at its peak, you could say. So that's the first thing to know. It's in Libra, it's a full moon, it's at 16 degrees, so like in the middle of those signs. Second to know, this is in Libra, so this is about relationships. Even if it would be in an area of our lives, let's say the 2nd house or the 3rd house, it's about connections. This is a full moon that is giving us all insights about relationships, for sure. And about the balance, you could say, between me, I versus the other, because the sun, you could say the symbol of identity is in Aries, and it opposes the moon, where our emotions, our reaction patterns, emotions are, when they are in Libra, we always want fairness. So it's about me and the other. It's about, I want to do things by myself. I want to be independent versus I want to connect. So these are the themes of this Libra kind of full moon. We always have it around this time. It's always around this time that people think about relationships. Of course, there's other times as well, but I mean, in general, this is good to think about our relationships and to see for what they are. Now, Libra is a very positive sign. It's an air sign. So what it wants is actually equilibrium. It is balance. It is fairness. It already is a sign that indeed finds relationships very important. And sometimes the Libra personality, you could say, would give a little bit too much to others or please others, rather to have no discussions and to have that balance, rather than stepping over one's feet, you could say. So, of course, that has a downside. And the downside is that you neglect, when you say too much yes to someone else, you kind of say no to yourself. So it's about balancing this out. It's not about doing the one or the other. It's actually doing both and finding that equilibrium. The third point to know about this full moon, and I think the most important point, is that when you compare, we always have to look at what's going on with the other planets during this full moon. And it is here a very strong indication of a healing process, because this sun is next to Chiron. And so we have a sun conjunct Chiron aspect, and we also have a moon opposite Chiron aspect. So the theme of this whole full moon is not only relationships, it's about healing. because of relationships. It's about pain. It's about not escaping the pain, not avoiding the pain. What we sometimes do, in order for us to survive, or in order for us to not feel that pain because it's so hurtful, or in order for other reasons, whatever it is. But now this is definitely a wake-up call, you could say, a beautiful opportunity to heal from our closest relationships. But of course, that will not go without its pain. But the trick is now to not avoid it, to see it, to look at it, and only then we can heal. And only then we can kind of go up a level or get an upgrade, you could say, because Chiron is associated with the wounded healer. It is a teacher because of the things and the pain that the personality of Chiron has gone through. It kind of has wisdom to help others. And that is what this is all about. Now, I have a lot of Chiron videos made a long time ago. I have in my playlist. If you are interested in astrology and knowing more about Chiron, I can talk hours about that. And I did on those videos. You can go to the playlist, and I'll put a link at the very end of this video, the playlist of Chiron. In particular, the Sun Chiron and the Moon Chiron aspect, because it's all about that. The Moon Chiron refers more to security or a lack of that, and the pain that it causes because of that. And the healing, when we start nurturing ourselves, when we start taking care of ourselves like a parent, that's the Moon Chiron. The Sun Chiron more has to do with the individual that is hurt because it couldn't express how it wanted it to express itself. And the healing comes by doing it anyway, even though there is shame and pain involved. So very deep themes that we are having here, and quite interesting themes. So I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of people will be confronted and will be triggered. That is Chiron. If we see Chiron transits, we are going to be what we call triggered. In psychology, when are we triggered? An old wound comes up again. And why does that happen? Not because the world doesn't, wants to annoy us or anything. No, it does it because even if it's 50 years later or 60 years later, it wants to be whole. It wants to be healed. So expect some triggers that are going to be occurring because of situations or because of people, or a mixture of that for sure. It's not there to run away from. It's actually to look at them and to be with the discomfort of that pain, and also to go through it and to heal it. That is a very huge theme and opportunity that we have here during that full moon. Now, so in itself, Moon in Libra, there's nothing really like difficult on it, because the Moon in Libra, it's not bad, it's not good. But with Chiron, it makes it tougher for sure. Not gonna sugarcoat this. It becomes a little bit more tricky. So when you are triggered, know that you are triggered. And instead of running away from that person, that situation, look at what's going on there. Look at the deeper, earlier first wounding that began. Without trying to be a psychologist here, it is about when we are triggered, it wants us to heal that wounding of our childhood. It's childhood wounding for sure, because the Chiron is in Aries, which is the child, which is the younger person. So that is where our woundings are at this particular moment. You could say because of the transit, it is going to trigger that part of our lives, the child wounds. And they come up again to be healed. Once and for all, we're done. And then we're up a level. And then we feel so much more freedom and so much stronger and so much more ready to do what we want to do. That is Aries. It wants to pioneer. It wants to go forward. It wants to do things that it's afraid of, but doing it anyway. That is the whole, you could say, spiritual lesson behind this full moon. The fourth thing that is so important is that we have help. We have help by Jupiter. So that in itself, this opposing moon with Chiron is a bit like, yeah. But with Jupiter conjoining with the sun, this is our support. So Jupiter is at 23 degrees, so it's a bit further away than the full moon. But of course, the moon will later on, the next couple of hours and day, the moon will conjoin with oppose Jupiter, and the sun will a couple of days after that conjoin with Jupiter as well. Around and about, I think, is it the 11th to 12th of April? Then we're going to have the sun conjunct Jupiter, which is one of the best days of the year, you could say. So it seems like when we are courageous enough to see that wounding, to see what's going on there, to not fall into the pitfall of personalizing everything, because that is Aries. It's they have long toes, you could say, or they take things personal. And if we see it in a broader perspective, which is what Jupiter is going to do, it's going to help us to see it in a broader perspective, then we are definitely getting for that upgrade and for that strengthening and for that healing, right? So that we can make better choices that are more aligned with who we are. So yes, this fourth point of Jupiter conjoining is amazing. And Jupiter is all about expansion, but also through knowledge. Expansion that is very fiery because it's in Aries, and that is very courageous as well, and enthusiastic, but also very spiritual. It's a very spiritual position to have if you've got Jupiter in Aries, for instance. So because it's in spirited sign, it's a fire sign. So it's expansion. It is that part, we're going to look at it in a minute, that is going to grow in your life. When you go through that pain, there is growth waiting for you. It's basically as simple as that. Now, last but not least, the fifth point that we have to look at. So the center is definitely that third point, which was like the Chiron theme. But the fifth point is we also have to look at the ruler of the full moon, which is, in this case, it is the moon in Libra. So the ruler is Venus. And what is that planet doing? Now, actually, the ruler is doing great stuff because this Venus is in its own sign of Taurus. It just went over, the ruler of Taurus, it just went over Uranus, and it is about to trine Pluto. So Venus trining Pluto is transforming in love, and in trine means that it doesn't have to cause too much of trouble and unsettling energy. So what a full moon this is, right? So, and this all happens, this trine, this Venus trine Pluto, you'll feel it already around the 6th, that Venus trine Pluto, but it is more around, again, the 11th to 12th, that this aspect is going to be exact, the trine of Venus and Pluto. It's transformation through love. So someone is whether you are in a relationship or not, it doesn't matter, but someone or some situation is going to teach you something about true love, real love with healthy boundaries and healthy commitments. It's a give and take. It's a 50-50 here. And that will transform your life, basically. So enough of the introduction. Let's delve into this very shortly, of course, because I find that big introduction as important as in looking at each and particular sign. Of course, Aries. Aries it's about you. It's as simple as that. This full moon is in your 7th house of relationships. So this is all about relationships for you, for sure. And this is all about the opposition between you and another person. It's also about expansion of you through the help of another person. Again, it doesn't mean to say that you are married or not married. It doesn't matter. It's you and other people, or your attitude in relationships, for sure. The whole introduction was actually for you, Aries people. But the thing that comes to light is definitely by someone that is showing you something. So definitely healing here through relationships. And that's going to make you you finding yourself more purposeful and understanding yourself better. Taurians, this is happening in the axis of the 6th house and the 12th house. So the sun will be in your 6th house with Jupiter and Chiron, and the moon will be in the 12th house. So this is a very hidden full moon. It has to do with letting go and releasing. So what can help you is actually finding purpose in your day-to-day life, finding purpose in your work. Finding purpose in your day-to-day life is going to help you to release and to relax. It's finding that balance between work and between relaxation, not doing too much one or the other. And the healing is definitely going to happen through this relaxing and releasing energy that you can tap into for sure. Could also mean that a certain dream or is really talking to you and then giving you some insights as well on a level of how you deal with your day-to-day life. It's a lot about your day-to-day life, your work. And if you don't work, it's about your habits, it's about your health. Also, things about health could literally be healing here through the release and the letting go of emotional baggage that you've been carrying on for way too long. Geminis, this is on a lighter level. So for you, this is quite, although it is with Chiron, this is lighter for you because you are an air sign and this is happening in a fellow air sign. So the sun will be in your 5th house of self-expression. The moon will be in the 11th house. So there's something about your hobbies, how you enjoy yourself, your friends, your goals for the future. It's coming to light. And the moon is in the 11th house, so it could be by a friend, or friends, or by a goal that is showing itself now. You know what it's all about, and there is a healing quality for you. The sun and Jupiter in your 5th house, that could be like something new occurring in your life that has to do with children. If you want them or if you already have them, there is something new there starting for you that is very expansive. So if you've got children, it could mean that a child is really doing, is getting an upgrade, right? It goes to college, for instance, Sun, Jupiter there. Also, if you want to have children, it's also very interesting here because it's about healing and it's about passing on this energy of wholeness, so to speak. Also, hobbies and things that you want to do, or a love relationship as well. A love relationship. There's someone triggering. It could also mean actually a friend, becomes a bit more than a friend, or a friend is showing you something about your own heart. And it's very healing energy. Could be painful in the beginning, but again, watch the first introduction if you want to know more about that. Cancerians, this is an important full moon. This is in the key areas of your life between home and family and between work. So there must have been an imbalance between that. And there is healing coming up here. And this full moon is in the 10th house. So probably where the things are happening, the events are happening in the work area. So there could be changes there happening. Could be a loss of a job or deliberately stopping a job or finding a new one. But it also has an effect on your emotions. It also has an effect on understanding who you are at that deeper level. The sun, Jupiter in the 4th house is like, yes, I trust myself more now so that I can make changes in the work area. Leos, this is happening in the mind houses for you. And it's a rather positive full moon for you because you are a Leo, which is a fire sign, and that goes well with the sun in Aries. And where also Jupiter and Chiron is in your 3rd house. So the moon, the full moon, is in your 9th house of your broader perspective. So there's happening something there. Either you are traveling, or you are reading a book or seeing a movie, or that triggers you in a way. And that has to do with the knowledge that you have and that you perceive and how you deal with information. Now, it can also mean like things come to fruition when it comes to a study, something that you've been studying or learning, or you teaching yourself. There is some culmination there. Or you could be a coach or doing some coach course or giving it or receiving it. And there is healing work done here at the same time. Virgos, this is more on a level of your worthiness. It's the sun is in the second house where Chiron is with Jupiter. Oh, sorry. Oh. I've been telling this wrong. Ooh, how am I going to restore this? Well, the subjects are not wrong, but I've been mixing that moon with, oh my goodness, how am I going to do that? I can't go back now. I don't want to do that. That's absolutely not the case. How am I going to do this? Help me out here. It's not totally wrong information, but I've been mixing the moon with the sun. As from Taurus. You know what? I'm going to redo it. Taurus is going to have like, you may watch the part, this is Taurus now. Second time Taurus. So watch that first part that I was talking about. It's not all wrong. But I was mixing up for the Taurians. I said that the moon was in your 12th house and the moon is in your 6th house. So is it wrong? No, because it's an opposition. It's the energy here. But the focus is a bit different. So actually, the moon for the Taurians is in your 6th house. So that is where the changes start, right? So the trigger is your work, your day-to-day work, and not the dreams that I was talking about. Okay, that's the only difference. For the rest, it's all the same. For the Geminis, the trigger, instead of what I was saying, the 11th house is your trigger, it's the 5th house that is a trigger. Okay, so there is where the moon is, so where the changes occur, whether that would be your child, your lover, your the hobbies, and so on. That is the one that triggers it all. Okay, that is the one that triggers it all, and you could say the expansion is in your goals and dreams for the future. Cancerians, the trigger is your home. I said that the trigger was the 10th house. It's the 4th house. But so the trigger could be your family. There's something going on at the home area, and it helps you to balance both areas of life. Okay, and then Leo, the trigger is the 3rd house. So what happens in your environment on a day-to-day basis, and not so much the broader perspective, right? So the trigger could be something that happens with a sibling, with the neighbor, with in the neighborhood, a communication, an email, a telephone, and that shifts the whole thing between the day-to-day life, how you think about that, and the broader perspective that you are having. Okay, I hope I was started well. But you know, everyone can make mistakes. And these two houses, you know, sometimes it's difficult to say even how it works. But anyway, Virgos. Virgo, this is between the 2nd and the 8th house, the house of worth. But the trigger is you. It's your own worth. It's your own income. There's something triggering about it, so that it changes your whole perspective of balance between what you think about yourself and what other people think about yourself. And isn't this the most beautiful example that I just had here? I mean, I'm a Virgo, and this is already brewing, right? This full moon preparing itself. And normally, when you would have told me that a video that I made with mistakes in it, I would have, I can't do that. I can't just publish that and because, hey, I have to be perfect. Now, this is what I'm talking about. The worth system here with the 2nd house and the 8th house, it is shifting. And it's shifting to balance it out, to be not so hard on yourself. It's shifting to be natural, to be, where the good, the bad, and the ugly, we sometimes make mistakes, but the way that we see it, it's going to influence how other people are seeing us. It really is about your worth and your self-worth. So what a healing process this is. And this was definitely also a trigger for me that just happened, making this little mistake. right? Anyway, Libra, this is happening in your first house. The trigger is you. The trigger is with you. This full moon is in your sign. So also what I said in the beginning, it's all for you. It's all for you. But there is this growth happening for you in the 7th house of relationships. There is this growth happening for you to really be invested in someone else and finding that person as some sort of a coach, basically, for you. And if you're not in relationship, it's the people that you connect with. It's how you want to be seen in a connection, for sure. So for you, Librans, definitely healing coming up for you. And definitely because you are very more emotional. You could be a bit more emotional during this full moon, for sure. But another person will be very respectful and will be, mostly with Jupiter there, very much understanding as well. So be open and just trust that the best people are going to approach you. And start from there, and you will see that there are some shifts there. Scorpios, the moon is the full moon in your 12th house. And this 12th house is all about the unconscious. And it has an effect on your day-to-day life, your health, with the Sun and Jupiter there. So possibility to grow, for sure, to improve, to find more purpose. So if you are someone but it's actually by letting go that you will find a life with more purpose. It's actually by letting go of the control and letting go of what the things that are that you can't control anyways. That is what I mean. That you are going to find more purpose in the things that you do day by day, and also in taking care of your health, of your physical and mental health, because that's what these axes are all about. So there's definitely a lot of release, and I think that you Scorpios are really going to like that. Sagittarius, because that is when you transform. Sagittarians, this is happening, the trigger in your 11th house. So a friend could be triggering you. A goal that you've been having for a while, or a goal that pops up, it's triggering. There is something that wants to be healed and that wants to be seen. So it could mean that a friend says no to you, no to the connection, and that causes that deep wounding. But all in all, it puts you more closer to your own heart, and to with the Sun and Jupiter there in your 5th house of self-expression, it is like who I am. So if they don't see me or don't want me, it's important that I express who I am. It's that balance between that. It's not getting too dramatic, the 5th house of self-expression, the house of the Leo, but it's the understanding of, I don't have to take that too personal, although it's easier said than done. So it's about that equilibrium with friendships and with how you deal with having fun and how you enjoy yourself. And there is some new energy here coming in for you, for sure, with the Sun, Jupiter in your 5th house. It could also mean a child that is really growing, and you have to really see them in a new way, in a more wise way, you could say. And that has a knock-on effect in also your goals for the future. And in healing that wounding of, you could say, a bit of, I have to let go of that child, right? I have to have my own goals and always be intertwined with what is my daughter or son doing? So definitely a very positive energy here for you, because this is all in a fellow fire sign, and in air that goes well with your fire as well. Capricorns, this is in the 10th house. So you're having this full moon in the 10th house of career, and that is the trigger. The career, or the public life, you could say, or how people see you. That is where you're going to have the triggers, and where there is opportunity to heal and to find a balance between home, just like the Cancerians, to find a balance between home and family and work. So there is a restoration going on, or a possibility to do that, because the Sun and Jupiter is in the 4th house. So the power and the purpose lies in the parroting of the self, the nourishing of the self, the being okay where you are, and being finding purpose in your environment, where you live, your home life, and all of that. Aquarians, this is happening in your mental houses. This is the trigger is the 9th house. So you could be traveling, for instance, and something triggers you in the old wounds that I was talking about, the child wounds. Or you could be studying something or learning something, or you teaching others something, and there comes up this wounding. And it opposes to the Sun and Jupiter in your 3rd house, where the purpose is, the purpose in the day-to-day communication. It could also have to do with siblings or with people in your environment, so that there is more purpose there in those connections. Because of what is triggering you, you kind of rebalance that out. And that is very important and significant, notwithstanding the fact this is a bit of a lighter kind of full moon for you, because you are an air sign and it's in a fellow air sign of Libra that this all is happening. But you could be, also having exams, for instance, or making a trip. I already said that, didn't I? Or, teaching, learning, seeing a movie, all these things that kind of work as triggers towards your old way of thinking that can be revisited now. And that makes you a better communicator than ever, and a more positive communicator with Jupiter there in your 3rd house. Good for learning as well. Pisceans, last but not least, a bit the same like the Virgos, but it's a bit twisted what the trigger is. It's your 8th house. So the trigger could be the value of another person. So someone, a close person, speaks of you in a certain way that triggers you. And that triggers you in a way that reveals old woundings and old pains. But ultimately, it's to rebalance what the other person or other people are thinking of you and what you think of yourself. It's to balance that out. It's to not put too much weight towards what another person thinks, but not put too much weight towards what you think as well about yourself. So it's in finding that balance, and certainly out of that can grow more confidence, Jupiter in your 2nd, more wealth, literally on a financial level, and more using your own talents to explore. Having said that, I hope this was helpful for you and not too confusing, but I'm sure you're all gonna do well. I would say have a very beautiful healing process during this upcoming days of this full moon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.